Suicide rates in the state are skyrocketing. Joining me today to discuss how we combat this epidemic is State Representative Tom Murt. Representative, thanks for taking time to talk to us about this very important issue.
It's great to be here today.
I said in the opening that suicide rates are rising, but how bad is the situation really in Pennsylvania?
In last year alone, over 2,000 Pennsylvanians took their life by suicide. Since 1999, the rates have risen by 34%. So as you can appreciate, this is a problem of the highest order of magnitude, something that has the attention of our policymakers as well as our healthcare professionals across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Looking at those numbers, is there any correlation to the increase in suicides? Why have we seen such a jump?
We have really divided the reasons into two factors. One is healthcare and the other is environmental. On the healthcare side, we believe that mental illness, untreated mental illness, lack of resources in the behavioral health area, as well as substance abuse have contributed to these numbers of suicides skyrocketing the way they have. In addition to that, environmental factors have contributed to this as well. An enormous amount of stress in someone's life, access to a lethal means such as a firearm or lethal doses of drugs, prescriptions, and so forth have also contributed to these numbers increasing the way they have. So I think it's very important as we collect our thoughts and put together a plan that we really know what the nexus of this problem is.
We also know by looking at the numbers that there is a real crisis amongst older Pennsylvanians and suicides, which was kind of startling to me. What's the reasoning for that, and where have we seen the increase the most?
Well, amongst males, the highest number of suicides are for men 65 years of age and older. The numbers are very similar for females as well. And this, again, is attributable to the factors that I already mentioned. But as the chairman of the Aging and Older Adults Committee, this is something that we worry about from a policy side. And I've been very happy to report that Governor Wolf has been so alarmed with these statistics that he has formed a task force to put together a plan to address some of these dynamics.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the focuses or some of the points that you would like to see focused on and worked on by the task force?
Well, as I mentioned before, mental health is a very important part of this, and I also chair the Mental Health Caucus, and we are working towards helping people that go into the mental health field as a counselor, as a therapist, with student loan repayment and so forth. We're looking at providing more beds for people that struggle with mental illness. And in addition to that, and perhaps most of all, we have to truly achieve and address mental health parity in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The mental health parity law in the United States is a federal law. It was signed into law by President George W. Bush. And essentially the law says that an insurance company that provides behavioral health coverage has to cover a mental illness in the same degree that it covers a physical illness. They have to cover depression and bipolar and post-traumatic stress the same way that they would cover a broken leg or diabetes or a traumatic brain injury and so forth. And this is the federal law. However, unfortunately, the way that it actually plays out is not perfect. And this is something that we're working on. Our Department of Insurance does various kinds of audits, market conduct audits they're called, and to assess compliance with the mental health parity law. And our insurance companies need some coaxing sometimes and coaching as well to make sure that they achieve that. But you know, let me just give you an example. For someone who's struggling with, as I mentioned before, depression, bipolar, or post-traumatic stress, if your insurance plan gives you 3 or 4 or 5 visits with a therapist or a counselor, a psychologist or a psychiatrist, a physician, that's good. But in all candor, none of those mental disorders or conditions or mental illnesses are ever going to be resolved in 4 or 5 visits with a therapist. Sometimes it takes double that or triple that just for the therapist to diagnose what the problem is and what the origin was and how to treat it, to come up with a treatment plan and so forth. And that might take years and years of therapy and counseling, sometimes on a weekly basis, sometimes twice a week, in order to help someone who's struggling with a mental illness. So as you can see and you can appreciate the fact, mental health parity is a very important piece of this discussion.
It really does sound like it. And finally, you did mention that you are the chairman of the Mental Health Caucus. You're also the chairman of the Aging and Older Adults Committee. As the chairman, what role will you play on this task force?
That's an excellent question, and the answer is that we'll be chairing various hearings, some that will be taking place this calendar year, to discuss this issue, to vet this issue, and to really put together a legislative plan to address the suicide problem in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to find out what's going on, why it's happening, and perhaps most of all, what we can do about it. And I really want to express my gratitude and admiration for Governor Wolf for courageously addressing this issue in a meaningful way, putting together a task force that's meeting and discussing these issues. That's never been done before, and this is something that reflects his concern, his devotion to this aspect of human services.
It also reflects your concern and devotion to the issue also. So thank you again for taking your time to joining me, and we hope to have you back to give us some updates on the committee.
Thank you.
It's all the time we have for today's program. If you have any questions about what you've just seen or any other state government related matter, Representative Murt's contact information will be on the screen in just a moment. I'm Anthony Tezak, and join us again next time.